So we've reached the most exciting part of this whole presentation, and I'm gonna tell you about infrastructure, because all you guys love infrastructure. So you heard about how to build your Lightning apps. I'm gonna tell you about infrastructure, and before I do that, I would like to introduce myself just briefly so you guys all know why I'm here. I'm Noha. I started my career at Microsoft on a language modeling team where I helped build some machine learning components, and I had all the access I needed to infrastructure. This was never a problem. And then after Microsoft, I decided to kind of spice things up and go to this beauty company called Glossier. You might know it in New York, or maybe you don't because you guys don't use makeup. But there I was hired to work on this technology product in the beauty space. And I tried to incorporate some very basic machine learning components, nothing fancy. And I got some POCs up and running, but the moment I tried to get a production version of those POCs, I really lost steam. I spent weeks searching the web for a tool that could help me productionize it. I spent hours talking to sales reps who promised that they could fix this problem for me. And after a good amount of time, I didn't really end up with what I was looking for. So fast forward, I decided to join Lightning AI because I firsthand experienced this gap in the market where at Microsoft, I didn't have to worry about infrastructure. It was all like business as usual. We're talking about machine learning. And then at Glossier, I tried to do very basic things with machine learning, and it was just not possible. So has anybody here ever tried to build their own machine learning system? Okay, wow, a lot of people. I'm surprised. So if you haven't, I would highly encourage you to try, but only if you have a really high threshold for pain. And if you have, you will probably experience the pain of the journey I'm gonna take you on right now. So let's talk about what building an ML system could look like. What does this mean? The story always starts the same. You'll have a hyper-motivated machine learning engineer who built a prototype and say, great, now I'm gonna throw it on SageMaker and I'm gonna call it a day. And then, like Will mentioned earlier, 2 years later and $20 million, and you still don't have your productionized model, and now you might as well be calling your machine learning engineers Kubernetes engineers because they're doing 1% machine learning and 99% infrastructure. So what would happen if you tried to build this kind of thing yourself? You would likely run into issues with networking, with auto-scaling, with on-prem, with cloud costs, with collaboration, with versioning, reproducibility, privacy, and the list really does go on. For all the people who tried, you know what I'm talking about. And you could try to do this yourself, it's possible, but this is what we've been doing here 24/7, so you could let us solve that for you. Because at the end of the day, your machine learning engineers and researchers, they're here to build recommender models, they're here to trade stocks, they're here to fold proteins and do the cancer research and all those cool omniverse things. They're not here to be cloud experts. That's not what they're here to do. So to drive that point home, I'm gonna give you an analogy. Imagine you had a meeting next week in San Francisco from New York, and to get from New York to San Francisco, you were given 2 options of transportation. You could either take all the parts of a plane and assemble it yourself, or you could buy a plane ticket and pick a time that works for you with a stopover that works for you, And maybe you'll deal with lost baggage, maybe you'll deal with delays, maybe you'll deal with like a smelly passenger next to you and a crying baby in the back. But you'll reach to San Francisco most likely on time for your meeting. So today, the machine learning world forces you into two similar options. You can either try to build the whole thing yourself from scratch and pray that it works, pray that it doesn't bankrupt your company, or you could use some black box technology out there and try to build your product around that. So you might be using configurations that are not ideal for what you're looking for, but you kind of stitch it together and it maybe turns out close to what you're looking for. The ML world is the same, like I said. And earlier I said there was two options to get from New York to San Francisco, but actually I lied. There is a third option. And bear with me, I'm going to talk about private jets. It might sound a little crazy, but I'm going to explain to you why a private jet is an option. A private jet strikes the perfect balance between flexibility and convenience. If you want a gold toilet seat in your private jet, you can add it. If you want silk sheets in your private jet, sure, why not? And if you want to go anywhere at any time, you can do that because nothing is stopping you. You're in the driver's seat of your own jet. But there's a problem with private jets that you're probably all thinking about, which is that they are super expensive. It's not feasible for 99% of us. And the machine learning world is the same. You only have Facebooks and Googles and all those guys who get to have their own in-house machine learning platforms because they have the resources to do so. So today, we're introducing your private jet in the form of Lightning AI. And we built Lightning AI to be enterprise grade, and we built it for industry, but we are opening it to the Lightning community. So you have access to that private jet, and you can get yourself to San Francisco at any time you want in the middle of the night. You won't have to hear the crying babies in the back. The Lightning AI private jet gives you your full flexibility to build the ML system of your dreams. If you're at a company today, you could use your Lightning AI private jet in two levels. You have the bottom level where you're managing clusters, you're tweaking configurations, you're adding, deleting, giving access to people, and you have full flexibility to do so. And at the top level, you have the app builders. And these are people that really don't care about any of that. And they just want to focus on what they're doing and not worry about clusters, not even see anything related to infrastructure. These are the people that are folding proteins, that are building those recommender models, the people you hired from PhD programs that you worked really hard to get into your company. And you don't want those people wasting their really special skill to learn another very, very, very hard skill. So at the end of the day, whether you are looking for full flexibility at the bottom level or ease of use at the top level, we were able to build Lightning AI in a way where both domains can focus on what they do best, both experts can work without getting in the way of each other. Thank you.